All right, meeting will come to order. We call the roll, please, for us.
Present.
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 If you will, stand with us. We will say the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Mason, I'll ask you if you will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for just a moment of silence. All right, you may be seated. All right, I think we start our meeting. We have some presentations that is about to take place. Ms. Mason, I'll turn that to you. Nope, is that not right? Yep.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Following along here.
As most of you probably know, January we get an opportunity to celebrate our wonderful school board, and it is certainly my pleasure and honor to do this every year. We always try to get them a little gift as a little token, and as you can see, I was going to say one of them had it on, but she's already taken it off.
Here.
This year, I decided to. This was something that we talked about back in November. So, Miss Conley and Miss Williams got a sweater with our new logo, and the gentlemen have a new jacket with our logo. And it's just a small way for me and my staff to say thank you for always supporting our school district, our kids, our crazy things that we want to do. And so I just want to say thank you. I also have our principals here, and they would also like to celebrate you. So if the principals would come up, please. I think they have something they'd like to say and something for you as well.
We love gifts.
Well, don't get too
And
excited.
snacks.
She said, don't set the bar very high.
Arlington Community Schools would like to express our sincerest gratitude to you, the exceptional school board members, for all the time, dedication, and instrumental work that you do on behalf of our students, families, and district. We've made a donation to the Arlington Community Library in your honor. Thank you for advocating for our children and helping to shape their future.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
Very
wonderful.
That's really cool.
It's always the best gift.
Yeah. Appreciate you for what you do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So nice.
Really nice. Very nice. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Anything else?
No, that's all. Just, again, thank you.
Absolutely. Citizens' comments. So we have some citizen comments. Oh, I do have them. Let's see what that is.
I think it was on the, I think it's right there.
Oh, sorry. Under my stuff up here. I'm organized today. So we do have one. So the dads, if you'll come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. If you will, state your name and address for the record.
We're Melanie and Bobby Dabbs, and currently we live in Cordova, and we've got we're building a residence at on Airline Road. We came here tonight to ask you all to reconsider the decision that was made to remove our daughters from the school. In 2017, we made the decision to relocate our family to Arlington. We came here on a transfer, and in the meantime, we spoke with Student Services on the requirements we need to meet to come as residents. We had trouble finding anything and decided to get an apartment for 6 months and hire a realtor. Halfway through the 6-month lease at Hall Creek Apartments, we bought land and got a contractor and blueprints for building a home. We made sure we could meet the requirements given to us, and so we paid a little over $3,000 up front to pay our way out of it. We would not have paid that much up front if we didn't know how it was required of us for the children to go here. Student services felt we're being dishonest, and after showing them everything, even pictures, we ended up speaking with Ms. Mason. She informed us that the problem with this is that we fall under the future resident policy, but that this situation isn't one that they had encountered before. We owned the land first, and then we were building. So she asked for something showing we had been approved for a construction loan, and we had already given the contractor a contract. So we did, and it was accepted. They asked for an updated contract from our contractor and from our bank. The date the contractor gave did not fall on the May 22nd date that Ms. Mason desired, which is the last day of the school year. There was a title issue and a kitchen change, and in all reality, we're probably looking at about June for finishing our house on Airline. Ms. Mason said this is not within the school year, as she wishes it to be, and removed our 2 daughters from the school system. Had there been a specific policy for our situation, this may not have happened. Unfortunately, many times when we gave what was asked of us, it just wasn't enough. Maybe it was because they felt we were being dishonest, or maybe because there were no real boxes to check to say we had all that we need. Either way, we feel that what we had to turn in was excessive, and we wonder if everyone has to do as much for their kids to go here. We also feel that a policy that does not cover our unique situation should not stand in the way of our children's education and their rights to due process. So we want to ask you if you would please consider letting our children go to your schools for the next 4 months while our house is being completed. My 5-year-old has autism, and my 12-year-old has dyslexia. We've worked towards this goal for 2 years, and in that time our children have thrived. Everly, our youngest with autism, has had such a chance to get acclimated and is already showing regression with a break in her routine. We don't have the time that we need to prepare her for another class, and I have a letter from her pediatrician saying it would be a major setback. So please consider allowing them to return so we can do what is best for our children and get them back on track. And we have everything in a binder if you would like to see everything that's went on since it all started.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will move forward to the approval of our agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. I will move ahead to reports. We'll start with Chairman's report. I only have a couple of things. One is a reminder to each of you for your statement of disclosure. I don't know if you've seen that or done that yet, but I know a couple of people have turned it in. Make sure you get that done by the 31st. That's a hefty fine out there at the end if that doesn't happen. So just make sure you get that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mine has been sent. Do I need to give you a copy too?
As long as you send it in, that's the biggest thing. Good. And the only other thing that I have is since we were last here, I've been married. So I'm a married man, much to the chagrin of many, to that smoke show sitting right out there. So now, yes.
You're going to get paid back.
Yeah, her face isn't red at all.
I just told him he's going to pay for that, Carol.
Carol gets equal time, right?
That's what happens when you have the mic, right? Anyway, so I'm just thankful for all you guys, your encouragement, and to me, and your encouragement along us as in our new marriage. So thank you to all of you who have said some things to me. Very, very, very kind of you. That's all for my report. I'll move on to Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a few items. First of all, each of you should have at your desk a flyer for Educator Career Fair. And this is our annual fair, career fair that Mr. Mayo and his staff and all the principals do. And we always like to invite you all, if you can at all, stop by at least for a portion of that and see all the great things going on in the organization with that. We also, go ahead, dinner.
We'd like you to join us for dinner if your schedule allows. That'll be about 4:30 that afternoon, or really any time during that time span. And then we'll have a general meeting where we'll talk to the candidates, and then we would introduce you at that time as well if you're able to attend.
Wait, dinner at 4:30?
Yes.
Okay.
Early
Just checking.
dinner.
It's like the old
Just
folks.
checking.
You ought to know about that.
Almost.
I also would like to say, today, several of us had the opportunity, 2 of our board members were there. As you know, our middle school was designated an Apple Distinguished School, and they put on quite a display today for other local school systems around. I think there were 5 other local school systems that sent folks to see our one-to-one initiative, and it was quite amazing. I don't know, Ms. Williams or Mr. Lamar, if you want to say something. I know you were there, but the folks that came from the other school districts, most of them were technology people. We had private and public schools there. They had the opportunity to visit classrooms, and all the great things that these teachers are doing at the middle school is just simply amazing, as well as they got to sit through a tutorial with Ashley Burns and how to use Pages, I believe is what they worked with y'all doing, and it was just amazing. Nothing but great comments. I won't say the school, but there was a representative from another school that talked to Tyler today that said that their school had been designated as an Apple Distinguished School last year, and they thought that they were like top in the area, and then they came here and saw what was going on at Arlington Middle and said that they took lots of pictures and said that they have a lot of work to do to be able to match what's going on. So I want to thank Dr. Clark. That only happens because of the leadership at the school. So I wanted to just acknowledge that. I don't know, Ms. Williams or Mr. Lamar, if you all would like to say anything.
Okay. Well, it was a fantastic morning. 8:15 to 12:15, and I was not bored 1 second. In fact, they kept me on my toes. The kids were just amazing. Summer, William, and Darlene were my teachers today, and they taught me well, let me tell you. They know more about technology than I have ever seen. I went to 2 science classes, an English class, and PE, and it was just fantastic. The teachers, you can tell they had those students ready. Those students were engaged. They were learning. They were happy. They were doing so many things that I was just absolutely amazed. It's fantastic. But those teachers were up there guiding and coaching those kids, and those kids were just unbelievable. Critical thinking, making choices, interpreting material. I could not believe how fantastic. Arlington Middle, just a great, great job. And the 3 kids that taught me all day, I will never forget them. I had my picture made with them because I wanted to make sure if they could teach me a little more maybe later. But they were just great, and I certainly appreciated all the hard work that went into that. And I was real tickled. One child, she said when the 6th grade first received the iPads, and she said, you know, we kind of use the textbooks and the iPads. And she says, now I'm in 8th grade, and all we use is the iPads now. The textbooks are online, but that's all we do. And she said, the engagement in science class, Miss Williams, is so much more. And this is an 8th grade child telling us that. So it was just a great, great day. So thank you, Arlington Middle, for all you're doing.
Well, I was with Ms. Williams, and the biggest thing I did was play tennis with the kids. But the English class, we had the same escorts around, so I would be repeating what she just said. But they were writing duplicating a letter that Teddy Roosevelt was received by a lady who was writing a letter to the president at that time about child labor, and they were talking over how to get the sentences and that sort of thing. And then I was just pushed over by the drones. He flew the drone over the gym, and I was just fascinated by it, being an Air Force guy, of flying those drones all over the gym. So, in the end, I was in the last group that did the designing of the boats, going from 3 things, and I was totally lost. I couldn't push the first button.
Me too.
But the young lady was with me, showed me. It was just fascinating, and this was called programming. So, hats off, kudos, and I enjoyed the day.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again, Dr. Clark. Also, our ELA textbook adoption public viewing is scheduled for February the 26th. It'll be here at our district office from 8 to 4:30. All school board members, as always, are encouraged to attend the viewing to see the current selections of the ELA textbooks that we'll be looking at that are up for adoption. comments and feedbacks will be allowed during the visits on that day. So if any parents come, they'll have that opportunity to give us feedbacks that will be considered, as well as instructional supervisors will be on hand to answer any questions that parents may have. And the last thing I have on my list, I saw Coach Jeter today I was at the middle school, and she said, "Hey, I'm coming to the board meeting tonight. Can I speak?" So I told her I would give her some time during my report. So Coach Jeter, Dr. Clark, look, Dr. Clark's eyes just rolled in the back of her head.
That's
Oh
legit.
no, what's Jeter doing now? I spoke to you a few years ago, and I'm back for an update. I'd like to take this time on behalf of the coaches, students, faculty, and staff of Arlington Middle, as well as the Arlington community, to say a very heartfelt thank you to our school board members, Superintendent Mason, Dr. Clark, Mr. Tim Ruff, and Mr. Nate Coleman, for providing funding as well as overseeing the process of building the new gym at Arlington Middle School. The building is beautiful and spacious and provides a safe place for all of our students to participate in a variety of activities. This year, we've been able to host volleyball games on our campus. We've held the first ever All Schools Veteran Day program with wonderful performances by our band, orchestra, and chorus, not to mention a fantastic speaker. We've hosted cheer and dance show nights, and of course, my favorite, we were able to have our basketball games played in this new beautiful facility. Our PE classes have been enriched by the extra room as well as the technology that abounds in the gym. As I speak, the championship games for the Municipal Schools Regional Basketball Tournament are being played on our campus. Last week and this week, we have hosted 16 teams from the other municipalities, and I must say, they have all been blown away when they enter our gym. One of the greatest impacts that I've seen in this upswing is the upswing in school pride by everyone who enters the new home of the Tigers. I say all of this to say again, thank you for all having the vision and making the dream come true for all of us at AMS. Thank you.
And with that, that concludes my report.
Very nice. That's awesome. That gym is incredible. So cool to hear how it's being used. We'll move ahead to financial report. Ms. Roberts.
The financial report as of November 2019, general fund revenues 12.7 million, expenditures 18.3 million. Nutrition fund revenues $463,983, expenditures $431,172. Federal and discretionary grant funds, revenues and expenditures $860,852. CIP fund revenues $403,600, expenditures $388,711. The Interlocal Health Benefits Plan Asset Trust Report as of November 2019, year-to-date revenues $27.2 million, year-to-date expenses $17 million, the beginning balance of $78,000, ending balance of $10.2 million. And the next report is our audit report. We will have Mr. Clark Province. He's the audit principal at Watkins Ubraw to do the audit report presentation.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm Clark Province. I'm audit principal at Watkins Ubraw. I'm in charge of supervising the audit of Arlington School System or Arlington Community Schools, as well as signing the report. I'm going to do a quick overview of the audit process and financial highlights. I'll take any questions you might have, but I'll try to be quick because not everyone finds this as fun as I do. So I'm going to try to figure out how to use this too. So to begin, a quick summary. When we did do the audit of the financial statements, we issue several opinions on your financial statements, one of your governmental activities, your general purpose school fund, your capital projects fund, your general purpose budgetary schedule, and the aggregate remaining funds. So in all, we issue about 5 audit opinions, all of which came back as a clean or a modified opinion. We do not issue an opinion on your MD&A, your management discussion analysis, the required supplementary information, or the other supplementary information. We also do a compliance audit of your major federal award programs. This year, test work included about just over 40% of your federal expenditures over the child nutrition cluster, as well as over the special education cluster. And those both also had a clean opinion as well. Brief overview of management's responsibility. Management is responsible for the preparation and the fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the United States as applicable to governmental entities. This includes the design and implementation and the maintenance of internal control related to the financial statements. We prepare the report and assist by preparing non-attest services and assist Miracle in preparing this report. But at the end of the day, management takes responsibility for the report and reviewing it. Our responsibility, again, is to express an opinion. We perform our audit in accordance with 3 different groups of standards. Auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, as well as governmental auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, as well as uniform guidance standards, which would apply to the single audit of your federal expenditures. Our auditing procedures include some judgment, risk assessment of your financial statements, taking into account the internal controls that you have in place. We confirm significant accounts with the state of Tennessee, Shelby County. That gets us most of your revenue. We also use independent third-party statements to verify amounts. And then we use sampling methodologies to test your expenditures for propriety. Our opinion overall says that your financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. And so what that means is we take a threshold, and because you have 5 different audit opinions, we do 5 different materiality thresholds for you, so they're at different layers. Financial highlights of your governmental activities. Your net position was up $6 million to $116 million. Of that, $17.8 million is unrestricted and can be used for the ongoing obligations of the schools. Your revenues increased overall, $49.1 million. Primarily related to that is an increase in your program revenues. This would be your fees that you charge as well as your grant funding. That increased $1.7 million to around $6 million. And your general revenues, that would primarily be like your BEP revenue, increased to $43.1 million. Your expenses at the governmental activities level increased $1.7 million to $43 million. And the types of items that would include, that your general purpose school fund wouldn't include, are a lot of our adjustments to put all your pension liabilities on the books, your OPEB liabilities on the books, as well as your capital assets that go on the books. There's some differences between the expenses in your general purpose school fund as well and your governmental activities fund. But your general purpose school fund, fund balance increased overall $1.8 million to $20.6 million. Out of that, $20.3 million is unassigned. And as a general measure of financial liquidity, we'd like to look at your general fund unassigned balance as a percentage of your expenditures, which is 47.8% of your general purpose expenditures, which is a pretty good ratio. That essentially means that our funding, if we lost a lot of our funding, this is how much we could cover with available assets that we have right now if we lost some funding. So that's a really nice percentage. Your revenues increased to $43.9 million overall in your general purpose school fund. Most of that is made up of your taxes and your state revenues, as you would expect. Expenses increased $3.7 million to $42.6 million, primarily made up of your instruction expenses and then your support services, which are like your support teachers, and your administrative expenses. I'm going to quickly note some of your more judgment and estimated disclosures that you have in financial statements, primarily Note 8, which is your pensions. I want to point out that your cumulative, you have a net pension asset over all 4 plans, which is an increase of $2.4 million net pension asset. And this is in accordance with state law, so you are fully funded. You had to be fully funded by June 2020, and you're already there. So I wanted to point that out for you. And then Note 10, which is your other post-employment benefits. This is your health and welfare plan for your teachers. You'll have a net OPEB liability, which is a decrease in that liability to $4 million, so it's going in the right direction. Over the last 2 years, once we established this new liability due to the accounting standards change, your funding's a little short of your actual determined contribution, and I've listed it out for you. Currently, you're on a pay-as-you-go plan, which means that you're paying your benefits currently out of your general purpose fund. You're not taking anything out of your trust, which is good. It's worth noting that you want to continue to contribute to that trust. You really want to get caught up with the ADC, with what the actuary is trying to tell you to contribute, because you're not really going to be able to withdraw from that trust until that's fully funded. Okay. We issue a third report, and this is our report over internal control over financial reporting. We do not issue an audit opinion on this, on the effectiveness of your internal controls, but we do review your internal controls for potential deficiencies. A deficiency can either be a material weakness or a significant deficiency, which means that it's reasonably possible the material or significant misstatement will occur in your financial statements had we not come in and performed an audit. This year, we did note 3 material weaknesses during the audit. I've listed them out on this tab. 2 of these are just the result of some timing differences that are outside the normal processes, the normal transactions, so they're not likely to occur again. The third was a miscommunication on my part to Miracle about how to account for some activity, and we've adjusted that going forward. Management has issued their corrective action plan, and everything's already been corrected going forward. And that's all that I have for you. So if you have any questions, I can try to answer them now. And if I don't know the answer, I can take a question down, I can get back to you, and you may reach me at my email address up there if you would like to email me separately.
Any questions from anyone?
I have no questions.
Hey, thanks for your time.
Okay,
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
your time you put into that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, does that wrap us up on financial report?
Yes, that concludes the financial reports.
Okay, thank you. We'll move ahead to TLN report. Yes.
All right, so everybody knows that the session is back in, so we're all just sort of holding on, waiting to see what happens. Talked to Ms. Speakman, and there was some movement today that we'll kind of wait and see how that plays out. But we did have a very successful legislative breakfast. Germantown was the host. Several of us were there, and it was a great event. It was nice to hear what they had to say. I was encouraged by it. So we'll see what happens. But the other thing is, too, that we've changed the legislative breakfast, and I'm sure you've gotten some emails from TSBA. I'd encourage everybody to go. It looks like this is going to be really a lot more beneficial than what the old legislative breakfast was. So I think that's into February-ish sometime. So for now, nothing else new.
Did they say anything? Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, may I ask Mr.
Absolutely.
Dr. Vate, may I
Yes,
ask
you
a
may.
question? Did they say anything about vouchers, charter schools, or?
So that was interesting at the breakfast. It was last on the agenda. I'm not sure how that worked out, but we were way over on the time, and people had started leaving, and so essentially no, it got a little bit skipped over. Mark White addressed it a little bit by defending the governor's position, which didn't, really go well in that particular room. But yeah, it never was asked directly. It was last on the agenda, and we sort of ran out of time, and we're told, hey, if you want any more information, ask them. So, but it was interesting. There's several things that are going on. Like I said, I'm encouraged because they're trying to sort of rein in the commissioner of education a little bit. So those were some highlights. So hopefully we'll see how that pans out. But
Rain or in, good or bad?
so So what we heard was that she was going to take that new accountability model, and both of the chairmans in the respective houses said they canceled the meeting with her and weren't going to hear it. So that's a huge step forward, because that's, as I understand it, she was going to present the Texas accountability model, which hasn't done well. So we'll see.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Hey, thanks for staying on top of that. Really appreciate you
Yes, sir.
reporting for us on that. We'll move ahead to consent agenda. You have a motion to approve consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion passes. I will move ahead to miscellaneous budget items. Superintendent.
Item 9A is Resolution 20-01. I'm recommending to the board to pass this resolution. This resolution is a resolution regarding budget amendments. This is new funding for us. This particular resolution, once passed by the board, will go before the town. I see our mayor's here tonight, so they'll be getting this in 1st of February. This includes, you'll see the money that Tanya Howe was here at our last meeting, the $13,000, as well as capital funding, and then some other movement for OPEB that was a result of the audit, moving it from one account to the other. And so with that is my recommendation to pass Resolution 2020-01.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
So just one thing, if I might, Mr. Chairman. So I am on the OPEB trust for the TSBA, and I just want to commend this district, the superintendent, for their vision. Some people may look at that and say, "Oh, well, you guys, we had to move some money to contribute," but from day one, that's been a priority. And I'm amazed at the amount of districts in this state that have massive liabilities that are not contributing to it. And of course, with the accounting rule change, that can now fall back on your funding body. And I just want to say that in a relatively small town like this, that's a huge deal. And we have done an amazing job funding that. There's great money in there. The returns on that particular OPEB, of course, the bulk of the money is Shelby County, but we had some amazing returns this year. You guys don't always get to see those. I know a copy is sent to Miss Roberts, and I believe superintendent gets a copy, but just saying out loud is not really enough to say what a great job this district in particular is doing, funding that OPEB liability. It's really very impressive what we're doing with the amount of money that we have and being such a small town. Everybody talks about it when we have those OPEB meetings, like, how are you guys doing this? And it's really, really admirable. So.
And I want to make sure that I'm clear on that money. That's not really additional funds. The auditor talked about where we had to move money from one account. You may recall last year during the budget, Mr. Roberts reported to us that the auditors had said that the OPEB had to go out of the general fund into its own special account. So what they've said this year is no, it needs to go back into the general fund. So we've just taken that same money that the board approved in a general, outside the general fund, and moved it into the general fund. So it's not additional monies. It's just from a special account back into the general. Did I say that right, Ms. Roberts? Yeah.
Good. Anything else? All right. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes.
Our next item, 9B, is Resolution 2020-02. It's a lot of zeros and twos. On this particular, this is our annual, our monthly budget amendments. This is money where the directors in each of the areas have decided to move money from one area to another, but within the same account. This is not required to go before the town, just before this board. It's not new money. It's money that has already been approved, just moved from one account to another within the same category. So with that, it is my recommendation for the board to approve ACS Resolution 2020-02.
So moved.
Move. Do you have a second?
So overcome.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, the motion passes. We'll move ahead to business recommended items. Ms. Mason?
Our next item on the agenda, business item 10A, is Resolution 2020-03. This resolution is a resolution to amend the 2019-2020 school fee schedule. If you look at that, you will see that there are four that are field trips that require fees. The one at the top, which is an additional school fee that will be added to the high school, you may recall, in part of our strategic plan and also part of new legislation last year, is for world language assessment so that kids may obtain the seal of biliteracy, which means that they speak two different languages. There is a test that is associated with that, and so this $25 is the fee for that particular test. And I'm happy to report it looks like we're going to have some kids this year graduate with that biliteracy seal, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's nice.
So with that, it is my recommendation to pass Resolution 2020-03.
Okay, further recommendation? Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I see no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion passes. So one more, is that right?
That's it.
Oh, that was it. That was all one thing there. Okay, I saw two. Let's take that off. Oh, we took that off my last one.
Yeah.
Had an old copy. Okay, and with that, we will move to adjournment. Any other announcements before we go?
I believe you have one.
We're going to adjourn first. I think. Is that
No, you do it
Oh, I
with
did
the
before? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have one. So we've come to a time that's very somber for me, and honestly, it's a sad day for me. A kind of excitement in some cases, but really, it's been a tough one getting to this day. And so the superintendent has decided that she is going to retire, and is going to make this an official announcement today. And so she has asked me to read a letter that she has written. She didn't think that she wanted to say anything right now, but I'll give you that opportunity if you want to.
No.
Okay. Then I will read. I'll read this letter for us all. She said, "Board members, please be aware that this is my official notice that I will be retiring after 34 years of service, effective June 30th, 2020. I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity of a lifetime by building and leading this district. There's no question that it's been a tough and challenging job, but it's been ever so rewarding. Together, we've accomplished so many great things in these 6.5 years, and I believe I'm handing off a well-equipped school system that will continue to serve greatness for years to come. It's my intent that I'll continue working and moving this district forward for the next 5.5 months. I look forward to working with each of you during that time. With gratitude, Tammy Mason." So I just want to give you guys an opportunity if you want to say anything now to Ms. Mason in light of this board. I'll just open that up to you right now.
I have to speak up and say that I do remember being on the original board, Ms. Mason being appointed and us selecting her, and it was certainly a great choice. Ms. Mason has worked tirelessly for this district. I've always told her how I commend her work ethic, because at the beginning we used to receive email messages at 3 and 4 in the morning. So I knew she was up probably all night. I don't know how the lady did it, little sleep, but she got us going, and she started this school district and certainly has put us on a path that is so successful. She has always been so proactive. Whenever when I was chairman and worked with her closely, I admired all the skills that she has and she's brought to this our community schools. We started off strongly, and I know she deserves this retirement because she has worked so tirelessly for our school system. But it is hard to let her go. I know Mr. Mayo was there too at the beginning, helping this kind of chart this ship too. But Ms. Mason, I know that I have the greatest respect for you, and it was my honor and pleasure to work with you. And I wish you all the success and all the happiness in your retirement. I have to tell you, retirement's pretty good sometimes.
I was just talking to Miss Pucciati about that earlier.
So we wish you a lot of happiness, and I know you're a great family. You're going to enjoy them for sure. And again, I just want to say to you, thank you so much from my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something. I'm the new man on the totem pole, but I do appreciate your helping me get off to a good start and acclimating me to policy and to the capital improvement plan and all those kinds of things. And it's been a pleasure to work with you too. And I have to jump on what Kay said, that retirement is good. And it gives you more time with your family. And I do appreciate that very much also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I've been here a couple of years, and I'm the new kid on the block. So I'd like to. There's many things I could say, but there are about 3 items I'd like to talk about. And of course, number one was the tennis courts. Originally, the school had $400,000 for 4 tennis courts, and I've been kind of working on these tennis courts about 10 years. And I want to thank you for getting the committee formed and giving that $400,000 for the town to make the tennis courts in its first class. So thank you for that. I was impressed with the TV studios, of the upgrading that's happened, Mr. Houston there, about the TV studios and how well organized it is. And this is a media that our children will face, is the TV camera and how it works and how it affects our society. So I was impressed the last visit I had at the TV studios. The third thing has nothing to do with the school system. Absolutely nothing. You are bringing a young man along with you, and I admire you for, I've told you this before, this is not the first time I've mentioned that to you. To raise children today, and I raised 3, is a task. And you've taken this young man, and he's going to be a good guy. So thank you for stepping forward and doing this as a parent. And I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Is it me? Wow. So I guess when I first realized this was sort of a reality, and even today I'm sort of a little bit of loss for words. The people that know me know that it's exceedingly rare. So I wrote some stuff down, and as I was typing it, I realized it was 14 pages long. I'm kidding. It was long.
That's right.
Yeah. I've whittled it down. It's an emotional time for me, but not the least of those emotions are, pride and happiness for your new chapter. And Braden will certainly be the beneficiary of all of this. I'll start off by saying that anywhere that you decide to go and anyone that you decide to impact along the way is truly and completely blessed to have you. So many memories, so many milestones, so many good times. Gosh, when we first started this, I completely underestimated what it was going to take in those 7 months. I had no idea. 100 hours work weeks, 75 phone calls and texts every day as the inaugural chairman. And the happiest day of my life was when we hired you, because it wasn't just us. It wasn't just the board up here doing stuff, and you just took off just immediately. The funniest thing I remember is, and the mayor is here, he'll remember these emails, just trying to find a place. You're like, yeah, okay, I got a job. Like, where should I go on Monday? Like, there literally was no office space. I mean, we built this from nothing. And so, you just took it all in stride. I thought it'd be a little easier than this, but you never cease to amaze me. Your versatility, perseverance, your always forward momentum. You took this mantle up with vigor. You never faltered, never wavered. You You always thought we would open this district in 7 months, by the way, which was a ridiculous goal. We all knew it was a ridiculous goal. It hadn't been done in 40 years in the state of Tennessee. So that it's a big deal. Nobody at the state level even knew how to set up a municipal district. So, as the chairman, I was able to attend a lot of those meetings, and I can say unequivocally, without you, I don't think there would be municipal districts in Shelby County. When people wanted to take a break, you were like, "No, we got to get this done. We don't have time." Hundreds of times I heard people in these other districts say, "Arlington already has a form. Let's just change it and use it for ourselves." I really want you to think about that. I don't think without your contribution this would have happened for any of us. I really believe that. And as I sit here in this building, even in these chairs, everything has your influence. Everything has your decision making at its essence. I mean, just even in the smallest details. Through the great many successes, I would hope that everyone here would join me in celebrating you. I'm going to skip some of that because I don't even know if I can read all that. But the thing that impressed me the most is you have this amazing talent to recruit the best and brightest. The people that you've assembled here to do this, you sort of made this family out of these people and us. And in the almost 7 years that we've worked together, you have impacted my life beyond description. And I'm grateful for your help and support. The culture was set at the beginning, and it's not something that anybody else has. It's been my absolute honor and pleasure to have shared this experience with you. I couldn't imagine anyone else doing this. The thing 1 in a million, people say that, but in this instance I say you are the only one that could have accomplished what we have. This town and this district have benefited immensely from your wit and your knowledge. This thing that we built, through all the challenges and triumphs, this district and this town owes you a debt that can never be repaid. You permeate through this district. You're the driving force behind this culture of success, inclusion, and kindness. The sheer amount of decisions that you make on a daily basis is staggering, yet you have always done it with the grace and conviction of the righteous and humble. You have literally set the foundation of greatness that will continue for many years to come. I will miss you tremendously on a professional and personal level. Good friends and family never say goodbye. Know that I'm only a phone call away. Thanks for the time.
I do want to add one thing that Dr. Biggs reminded me of, that first of all, let me just say, we did have a school board, but let me tell you something. This lady right here did all the work. We supported her, but we didn't do the work. She did the heavy lifting. She started this district, so I have to say that I wish we could say, hey, the first school board did all this work, and it was principals, the teachers, and this lady right here that started the school district.
So I have 4 things, and they all start with the letter F because I'm a preacher.
What does that mean?
I'm so thankful for you and the time that you've given. Obviously, the school, all the things that have been said about you and are all true, and I think you're the ultimate at what you do. I remember meeting you early on, back before you were superintendent, back when my oldest played soccer, and you used to come to soccer games and would sit and watch and cheer on. But my first F is friendly. Because that you are always friendly and welcoming to people around you, and I'm very thankful for that. Because sometimes people in authority don't come across that way, and so I've just known you that way from the very first time I ever met you, and I watch you do that. I watch you walk into a room with a smile on your face and engage people, and good leaders do that really well, and you friendliness is one of those things that is a trait of yours that I really admire. The next one, though, can be seen as the opposite, but it's not. It's fierce. Because you are also fierce. And I like that in a leader. I've really admired that in you, too, because you've been tasked with leading something that's very difficult, and you've done it with tenacity and with the drive to succeed and for us to be the best at what we do, even from a fledgling district. And you've led us into that, and that fierceness about you is something I really admire in wanting to be a good leader myself, in watching you do that. I want to do it more like you do it because you do it really, really well. And you're funny. I spend a lot of my time whenever I'm with you, and we laugh a lot, and I love to laugh. And so I love that being fierce, that you're also funny, and that you're lighthearted, and you can put people at ease whenever you need to as well. And I really appreciate that about who you are and watching you do that as well. And then my last F is just fantastic. Fantastic. You are really amazing, and you are really amazing at who you are as a person, and who you are as a leader, and who you are as superintendent. And it's been a joy for me to get to serve on this board and to work closely with you. It's been actually just an honor for me to do that. So I want nothing but the best for you, and just want to pour blessings your way as you go out into this next stage of life. And I'll close with one thing. It's from the scriptures, and I just want to say that the Lord bless you and keep you, and make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you, that he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. That's my hope for you. Yes, you may. Yeah, please come and state your name and address.
School Board Appreciation Week. I missed that memo, so I apologize for that. So I should have probably addressed the board earlier on that. So I thank you all for all you do. But just listening to everybody, I'm just going to take a second because I know there's a lot of people that want to say a lot of things. At some point, we will have our time in due time. I'm back there and said I feel strong now. I get up here and I start getting a little choked up myself because I remember. I mean, I knew Tammy before this. She used to be a principal for my wife when she coached at Houston Middle, and I knew Tammy, or excuse me, Miss Mason. But I'm going to call her Tammy because she's family. When we went through the school merge, before we even got to this point, so when she was in administration, so we became a little closer then, and then we got to this point of where appointing committees and trying to come up with school committees to try to figure out, can we do this if we're going to do this. Remember being on the phone with Tammy when we thought we were going to get another superintendent, and she and I were both on the phone going, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? This is before we even had an official board. Well, I guess it was right when we had the official board. So, and then they were saying, what are you going to do? And she's like, I don't know. So I just, I can still remember the passion and the moments of excitement and fear and chaos of what was going on, not just here in Arlington, but across the county and the state, and the work that many of the people in this room, the phone calls with some of these principals and some of the teachers. I mean, it was a time of utter chaos in this area, and to see what formed in a short amount of time, like Mr. Viog said, to be able to pull this all together, work by a lot of people, but I have to give you the respect that nobody worked as hard as you. Nobody did that. And like I said, in due time, I have a lot more I'll say, and I even gave you that look today when we were getting in the car, and I've been looking at you every time, trying to give you that evil eye.
Stink eye.
And I will say more at that time, and even another preacher today here in town had just heard right before this meeting, and he said to tell you that he's praying for you, and that he prayed, and God said, you can't leave.
Amen.
So, and that's true. That's not one of those preacher stories there. I'm telling you. But I just want to thank you for all you do. Like I said, it's when any one of us leaves, there's always somebody else that can fill in. We all have to come to that reality at some point. But the fact of the matter is that you've been the heart and soul of this school system. We've got 2 of our original board members, and we've got 3 new ones, and someday there'll be, everybody up here will be new, and everybody out here will too. So the life goes on without us. But I just want you to know, on behalf of everybody that I know, how much appreciated you are, how much we love you. I said, we've become family, and we will still be family after this. So I'll get with you more in due time. But I just want to say thank you for all you've done. I know it's been tough, and I was hoping to sit here and I told Mr. Duncan in the back, I said I'm going to stare at her, and you wouldn't look up at me the whole time. So I was thinking I could still put the toothpaste back in the tube tonight, and I couldn't do it. So I'm that guy that thinks he can change a movie that I've seen 100 times, change the outcome, and I still can't. So, but we love you, and thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
For a motion to adjourn,
Second.
second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Bye.
We are adjourned.